What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Mandatory Live Show. We want to say if you've been rocking with the show, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. If you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, please do because it helps the channel grow. And also, you can find us as well on the audio side wherever you get your shows, your podcasts. We're there too. So make sure to give us a rate and review. You can give us a 5-star because why wouldn't you? But nonetheless, lots to get into on this show. We are going to talk a little bit about David Benavidez and David Morrell, which was announced earlier. They will be fighting early 2025 in January. I believe it's January 25th. We're going to get into that. Subra Matias and Matchroom have parted ways. We'll get into that as well. But it's a big fight week. And I think this is the fight, Bryan, that everyone has been waiting for because we say 50-50 fight all the time. This is a 50-50 fight. This is a massive fight. Before we get into all of the betting odds, how we're going to bet this fight, how we're going to break down this fight, how we see it going, and if you're wondering what I'm talking about, you shouldn't. It's Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. This fight is arguably one of the best fights of the year. It got pushed back earlier because Beterbiev he had an injury. He had to get surgery, I believe, and that pushed back the fight. But nonetheless, it's going down. And before we get into all the odds and everything, Bryan, how stoked are you for this fight?
Meniscus surgery, by the way, not a small thing, especially because, I mean, this is going to be one of the, I think, underreported things on this fight. But Artur Beterbiev is going to be 40 years old next year. And having surgery at around this point of your career, not the easiest thing in the world, especially when, you're about to embark on an endurance test. And while Artur Beterbiev has never gone the distance in his career, Dmitry Bivol frequently does. And it's going to be a clash in styles here. So I'm wondering how he's going to navigate that. But yeah, I'm super excited for this fight. I think it's one of the best fights of the year. It's a fight that we've been waiting for in this division for a while. Got really excited about the prospect of it happening basically after Dmitry Bivol beat Canelo. And you were sort of looking around in the light heavyweight division, and it was like, all right, you have the best two right here. And Artur Beterbiev ended up unifying, I think, another belt after that, or maybe he did it shortly before. But regardless, he also hasn't been in the ring that much lately. So in terms of activity, Dmitry Bivol's gotten him beat there, and it's going to be the ultimate test for each guy. It's going to be a classic like boxer versus boxer puncher style fight. It reminds me a lot of Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev, kind of in like the clash in styles. And you have one guy who's this, amazing finisher, maybe the best finisher in the sport right now, in Artur Beterbiev, and then Dmitry Bivol is as good and as technically sound as basically anyone in boxing outside of like maybe Alexander Usyk, maybe Terrence Crawford, but he's at that level. Like these are two pound for pound guys, and it's the best of the best. And we've never had an undisputed light heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era. The last time we had one was in the 3-belt era, and that was Roy Jones Jr. in 2002. That was a long ass time ago. So this is a super exciting fight, and I'm glad that it's happening because it's undisputed. It's damn near 50-50, as you said. Dmitry Bivol's moved into being a very slight favorite now, and it's a lot reminiscent of what we just had in the heavyweight division with Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, in terms of how close it is and what's at stake.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those fights that you don't want to miss. It is undisputed, and there's lots on the line here. We are going to get into that a little bit later. But, I just want to mention, and we'll get into this during when we do our full breakdown. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Artur Beterbiev's skill. He is just as skilled, and I think people are sleeping on it, just calling him, the one of the best finishers. That's not what it is. We're going to get into all of that, but let's get into the lines, Bryan, because like you said, it's not that much of a difference. Dmitry Bivol is right now, he is the favorite. Straight up on the money line, I'm seeing minus 126 in Artur Beterbiev, a plus 104 at a prominent book. Bryan, your thoughts on the line and how do you see this fight going? And then you can get into your pick.
Yeah, I saw that too. It was 50-50 not that long ago, and like I said, moved towards a Bivol. I think more is coming in on him for, I mean, reasons we're gonna get to, but I think that ultimately this is going to be a test of like who can settle in and really invoke their style on this fight sooner, because Dmitry Bivol, I mean, people think of him as like this counter puncher, which I mean, he does that very well too. But he actually does throw volume at you. Like I was doing a film study for my YouTube channel on this about the Canelo fight and how this can potentially translate. Because honestly, he hasn't really fought anybody like Artur Beterbiev yet, and Canelo's the highest quality opponent that Dmitry Bivol's beaten so far. Even though Canelo Alvarez was coming up into his weight class, but Canelo Alvarez had won in his weight class before against Sergey Kovalev. So like that's not a small thing either. And Dmitry Bivol, what he was doing in that fight was he was jabbing a ton. Whether it was fighting off the back foot, and when you have the Soviet style, you're usually proficient at fighting off the back foot. Dmitry Bivol is, and he was very good at just keeping Canelo Alvarez off balance with his movement, with just pivoting away when Canelo Alvarez had him on the ropes. He would block a couple shots and then just move. He would continue to shift all the time. And then he really settled in later on. And there was like a 10 punch, legitimately 10 punch combination at one point where he had Canelo Alvarez on the ropes. So I'm wondering if he's going to be able to do that against Artur Beterbiev, who I think right now is maybe the best pressure fighter in boxing. And the way he stalks his prey, so to speak, and the way he gets, into people like that, like he is very good at cutting off the ring. We talk about guys who struggle to cut off the ring all the time, like Isaac Cruz, for example. Artur Beterbiev is not one of those dudes. Like he's great at cutting off the ring. So it's going to be, in a lot of ways, the ultimate clash in styles, because while Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk was a balanced fight in terms of, man, you don't really know who's going to win. This one is like, you could actually see it go, and I hope it's close, and I think it ultimately will be close, but you could actually see it like, oh, wait a minute. Bivol is getting to him quick, and this is starting to become a wipeout because Beterbiev can't figure it out, or Bivol can't survive the pressure, and Artur Beterbiev is breaking him down because he's too strong and because his footwork is actually underrated and is good at cutting off the ring. Like I think there's a clash in a lot of different things here, so it makes me excited for it.
Do you want to give your pick now?
I didn't know if you wanted to like chime in first or before that, but I think ultimately in these instances where it's like boxer versus boxer puncher, I tend to usually favor the boxer here. So I am going with Dmitry Bivol by
I
decision.
knew it by your breakdown.
Yeah,
I knew it by your breakdown in the intro right away. I was like, this guy's going with Bivol.
yeah. I mean, but that tracks, right? Because there's a few things here. One, Dmitry Bivol, I think, is just in terms of balance. I like what I'm getting from him. It's just a matter of, can he take a shot from Artur Beterbiev, which we're gonna find out. We've seen him take shots before, but Artur Beterbiev is different. But ultimately, like, I do worry about the knee surgery. Like, you just had knee surgery a few months ago, and you're 39 years old, and you're about to be 40. You know what I mean? Like, Dmitry Bivol's gonna have that lateral movement that you need to survive a guy like Artur Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev could break him down, but I don't know if he's going to get the chance, because the way Bivol, like how smart he is, he's also much younger. He's 33. He's not super young in boxing years, but he's much younger than Artur Beterbiev. And Beterbiev hasn't fought someone this crafty. Like I think the way he can fight and box off of his back foot, the way he can pivot away from damage when he's in danger. There's not a big height or reach advantage either way, but Dmitry Bivol's excellent at using his reach, using his length in a way that makes it feel like he has 77 inch arms or whatever the case may be. When he doesn't, it's more like 72, like 6 feet even. But to me, like I like Bivol in this situation, like I always have. And, obviously this is a 50-50-ish fight, so I could be dead wrong here. But I think his boxing skill and ability will win out in a way that I favored Andre Ward very narrowly over Sergey Kovalev once upon a time.
So what we're going to do is, we know your pick, but we're going to get into our bets a little bit later because we know you're picking Bivol. We don't know how you're going to bet it yet, though. I'm guessing by decision that you're going with Bivol.
Yeah, plus 110.
Okay, got you. So for me, I do believe this is a 50-50 fight. And I mean, Bryan, we heard you kind of break everything down in a sense that you could possibly see Bivol just using his skill, using his jab. He's one of the best defensive fighters in the game. He doesn't get hit a lot. And that's another part of this. And you can see Bivol possibly winning against Beterbiev. Now, you mentioned Beterbiev having knee surgery. He's pushing 40, and that is a big deal. But when I take a look at Beterbiev, people are sleeping on his skill set. He knows how to cut off the ring. He's got one of the best jabs in boxing. And the way that he is a pressure fighter, power puncher, those are going to land on your great body puncher too. Like, people don't actually talk about the skill of Beterbiev more than his power, because his power is devastating. The guy's an absolute monster. And I go back to that Callum Smith fight, because Callum Smith was supposed to outbox him. Beterbiev made him look like absolute nothing. And Callum Smith is a good boxer.
Callum Smith had moments in that fight.
A little bit, but
Beterbiev
was not supposed to beat him. Callum Smith was supposed to outbox him.
Well,
and
I don't know
Artur Beterbiev.
I don't know about that. Beterbiev was a favorite against him. I wouldn't say that.
But a lot of people thought that he would outbox him.
No, I disagree. I thought Callum.
I mean, listen, he won by TKO. He won by TKO, and it's not one of those things where, you know, Beterbiev is down in fights. Like, for example, when you're thinking about work rate, Beterbiev also has a pretty good work rate. And a lot of people don't talk about that either. Now, the biggest question is he going to be able to get to Bivol, or is Bivol going to be using his distance? He's going to be moving around the ring. We talked about that knee surgery. For me, Beterbiev, he's so good at cutting off the ring. He's such a good pressure fighter, and he's gotten better with an age. It's not like Beterbiev has gotten worse with age. He's gotten better. Like, that's the scariest part. And we all know power is the last thing to go. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Bivol won this fight. It's a 50-50 fight. But for me, I've always had Beterbiev winning this fight, because he's skilled. He has the power. He is, to me, one of the best all-around fighters in boxing. And it's underrated, the skill, because his power is so devastating. So, listen, he has 100% knockout rate. Do I think he's going to knock out Bivol? I actually think this is going to be a fight where Beterbiev, and when I take a look at the odds, we're going to get into this. we're gonna get to our picks in just a moment, but I'm rolling with Beterbiev. I think all around he's a better boxer, in a sense that he has every attribute. We know that Bivol doesn't have that power. Now, in his last fight, yeah, he got the stoppage, but he was also taking a few more risks. He was getting hit a little bit more than he usually does. Great defensive fighter. He doesn't get hit a lot. I don't think this is going to be a situation where it's going to be like him and Canelo, where he just dominated Canelo throughout the fight, because Beterbiev is so skilled. So, and this, we're going to get into some comments, and Hesselman makes a great point here. Bivol has to have a perfect fight for 12 rounds against a different animal. I just don't see it. I'm leaning towards this. I think he has to have a perfect fight, because he's never also faced the power that Beterbiev has.
That's fine, but Artur Beterbiev was losing to Alexander Volstik before he finally dropped him.
He was, but and the same thing with Marcus Brown. He was
also getting tagged by Callum Smith. Artur Beterbiev has been in a lot more wars than Dmitry Bivol. I think people are overlooking that as well.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, like, because when I take a look at, we've seen him be bloodied or whatever the case may be. Like
Bivol, his latest fight, I think that he was really good at was the Zurdo fight. For me,
what do you
that
mean?
was the fight where I thought, well, because like his biggest fight, his coming to, in the sense of being very popular, was the Canelo fight. Mm-hmm. That was a fight where I took Bivol to beat Canelo. And I think I would, like, a lot of people were thinking Canelo was going to win that fight. And I was like, no, like, I have the proof that I bet on Bivol on that fight, because it was one of the things where I'm like, I got to keep this.
Yeah.
But when I take a look at Bivol, the Malik Zinat fight, he got tagged a little bit more, but was taking a little bit more risk. I also thought it was a fight that he didn't look like himself, but he was taking risks in that fight. He fought Lyndon Arthur. He fought Lyndon Arthur, which was like, yes, he should have beat him. He's like the undisputed. He is the unanimous decision king.
Well, he
and the Zurdo fight, I thought he fought really well. Like, that was a tough fight. Other than Canelo, like what I'm saying, Brian, is when you take a look at his resume, would you say Canelo and Zurdo are the names that pop out to you?
Yes, and
yes, that's the point I'm trying to make.
I don't think Beterbiev has a win that's up there with the Canelo one. Maybe not the Zurdo one either. Like, I think Beterbiev has some good wins, because Anthony Yard, I talked him up when we were like previewing that fight at one point. I liked Callum Smith going into that, but he was a heavy underdog, and Callum Smith, he had some moments in that fight too. Like, Artur Beterbiev obviously is more of a risk taker, because he's in your face all the goddamn time.
He knows how to stalk you.
You know, like
But I do like Beterbiev's resume when you think about Vosdick, you think about Joe Smith Jr., who was on a tear before he fought Artur Beterbiev. Do you remember that fight?
Yeah.
That was a fight where I was like, yo, Joe Smith Jr. might have a chance. He's looking pretty good. That power looks elite. Gets in the ring with Artur Beterbiev, and what happens? He looks really good against Anthony Yard. And like I said, Callum Smith was supposed to come into that fight when you took a look at it technically, and he was supposed to outbox Beterbiev in a sense. Like, I think a lot of people thought that he would be able to do that because I think people sleep on Beterbiev. But yes, I do think the interesting part is the surgery, pushing 40. Like, those are all things that I was taking into consideration because I always was going to rock with Beterbiev because I think his skill is so underrated. And everyone talks about the sweet science. And if you want to rock with Bivol, I'm not going to be mad at that. He has a very good chance to win this fight. But for me, I gotta rock with Artur Beterbiev. How are you? You're gonna bet this fight for Bivol to obviously win by decision.
Win by decision, yeah.
Because I don't see him knocking out Beterbiev. Like, he's just not that guy.
But if I wanted to back Beterbiev, I would take Beterbiev to stop him because I think it's one of those things where like he just there's a world actually, and there's going to be live betting opportunities here. So I would encourage people, like, if you even don't want to bet this fight like beforehand, you're nervous about it, or you want to get off a ticket, potentially hedge. Like, if you want to play this a number of different ways, I think this is going to be a fight that's live bet worthy, which I'll be tempted to do. I typically look for like slow starters, for example. Like Terrence Crawford's great for this. I've made money on Terrence Crawford. Like, after the second round, all right, now let's bet him because he'll give up the first 2 rounds, sometimes the third. And then the judges will be like, oh, Terrence Crawford getting off to a slow start here, as if it's never happened before. And then all of a sudden he starts beating the other guy's ass. So I don't know if it's going to be one of those things because Bivol didn't do that against Canelo Alvarez. Like, you knew right away, like, oh, this is going to be a different experience for Canelo. Like, he's going to have to figure some things out there. And honestly, the judges didn't have it far enough in terms of an upset because it was 115, 113 all 3 ways. And I thought Bivol lost 2, maybe 3 rounds in that fight. And then Deserto Ramirez won. That one, he just completely I thought he damn near swept him. The judges did as well.
Very good fight.
Just neutralized him completely. Someone said he needs to be perfect in this fight. I don't think he does. I just think he needs to be able to take a punch.
Hustle, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if he can actually withstand some of Beterbiev's power, and I think honestly he used Malik Zanad for that in his last fight. It looked like he went in there, and this is what I was going to say before. It looked like he went in there looking for a knockout. Like, he went in there trying to get a stoppage.
He did, and as he did, he got tagged a little bit more than he usually does. Bivol is one of the best defensive fighters. Like, not a lot of guys were able to touch him in that fight because Zanad doesn't have power. But Bivol was getting touched quite a bit. So I think he's going to play this one a little bit safe because I think that's
some power. I think he's got some
compared to Beterbiev. Like, come on, stop it, bro.
No,
like,
no,
come on.
16 knockouts and 22 wins before that.
But who's on his resume? Like, let's be serious here.
I mean,
all I'm saying is for Beterbiev. And I'm not saying Beterbiev's going to wipe the floor with Bivol. Like, Bivol's going to have his moments.
You're making it sound that way.
No, Bivol's going to have his moments. Just like how when you did your breakdown, it sounded like you were heavy Bivol. And mine might be heavy Beterbiev
too. I talked to Beterbiev.
And I
on my YouTube channel right now, I did 2 videos.
Stop promoting your YouTube channel. This is about the show.
No, fuck that. I'm doing it. I did 1 for Beterbiev and 1 for Bivol, why each guy could beat the other guy.
Okay, all I'm saying is, because you keep cutting me off here, Bivol is going to have moments in this fight. He's one of the best fighters in the world. Like, he's on that pound for pound list, and he's going to have those moments. But when I think styles make fights, I just think Beterbiev is going to be able to get to him. And I think the biggest question always is, can you withstand Beterbiev's power? And here's the thing, Bivol's never been stopped before. And then I took a look at the odds, and I was like, there's some really interesting odds here. And the one that I thought that was the one that I would probably bet on, which is kind of crazy, because I do feel like there's a chance that Beterbiev can win in the later rounds and get the stoppage, because Bivol's never faced power like Beterbiev before. But I think this goes to decision. And I think Beterbiev wins by decision. It's a plus 700. Like, that's crazy and it's wild because everyone's taking the knockout, but Bivol's never been stopped before. And we don't know. We really don't. I don't think his chin has been tested like this. And Bivol's going to have great moments. And I think Beterbiev, the way that he stalks you, the way that he's a pressure fighter, and he has one of the best jabs, he gets to the body. He's all around great with the power. I think Beterbiev gets it done, and I'm going to rock with him with decision plus 700. It's wide, but I also like him winning in rounds 9 through 12, which is a plus 450. So those are two bets that I'll be looking at in this fight. But it is a true 50-50 fight. I just think I keep on hearing the reasons why Bivol will win because of the sweet science, and that's what kind of irks me a little bit because Beterbiev is skilled too. And I don't think people are talking about it enough. When they just talk about his power. And his power is crazy. But that's my whole thing. Like, people are sleeping on Beterbiev and his skill.
Did you like Andre Ward heading into the Sergey Kovalev fight?
Andre Ward is my favorite boxer as a kid. Like, come on, I was biased.
Okay.
He's from Oakland. There was no way that I was not rocking with Andre Ward in that fight. You know what I mean? That's a biased statement from a fan, though. As a kid, like, that fight was a minute ago, right? So when I take a look at this fight, like, don't get me wrong, like I said, Bivol's gonna have his moments, and I would not be surprised. Like I said this in the beginning, I wouldn't be surprised if he won. This is a 50-50 fight. I'm just leaning towards Beterbiev because I think his skill is underrated. He has the power. He has one of the best jabs in boxing, and people don't talk about it enough. And he's gotten better with age. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, he's better than he was 3 years ago. So for me, it's like I'm rocking with Beterbiev, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bivol won, like, at all. But I got to rock with Beterbiev. Let's get to some comments.
This is Artur Beterbiev, rather, his first fight since January, and this is going to be his fourth fight since December of 2021. So I wonder, activity worries me a little bit there too. He might be a little bit more active during that time.
Yeah, for sure. And he had the surgery and whatnot, but it's like, at least he's fighting twice this year. You get guys that fight once this year, and he had surgery. So let's talk. You know what I mean?
We got fucking prospects fighting once a year now. Prospects, get the fuck out of here, man.
Jalen Davis, Bivol got to keep that jab going and use the ring. Yeah. He has a great jab.
Both of them do. People were mentioning Beterbiev's jab is awesome because he has a fucking power jab, and he is also like, he's low-key slicker than people think on the inside too when creating these different angles. Like, there were times where Callum Smith was jabbing at him and he threw that right hand right over the top of it. Like, boom.
Super. His IQ, a little bit. He has a high IQ for sure.
Yeah.
Just rock with Jalen Davis still. Thank you for rocking with the show. True, it takes skill to go and get your opponent out of there. Both these guys are skilled. That's why I think it's such a great fight, except for Bivol doesn't throw as many power punches in a round.
No,
like he doesn't, right?
But that's not his punches. Style. He throws more than people think in some instances. But I do wonder, like, okay, if Beterbiev doesn't respect his power, and he may not, he's probably, even if he does, he's not going to show it. He's probably just going to still be in pursuit the entire night because that's how Beterbiev is. But I wonder how that sort of changes things, if it does at all, for Dmitry Bivol in terms of his game plan. I doubt it, because I think Dmitry Bivol is super disciplined. Artur Beterbiev is too. But if Beterbiev could just walk right through him, could he continue to outbox him for 12 rounds? Is a question I do have.
Yeah, I think Beterbiev will get off to a slow start. Like, I think Bivol is going to be the one controlling the fight in the beginning, because the whole thing is Bivol going to be able to keep the distance away, right? Is he going to be able to keep the distance from Beterbiev? And Beterbiev, is he going to be able to get to him? Bivol's so good defensively. And so that's the thing. I think Bivol gets off to a good start, but Beterbiev ends up closing that distance. Let's get to
Beterbiev also doesn't need to get off to a fast start.
Not at all.
Because his whole thing is like, I'm going to fucking end you. So
yeah, but like, it's hard to do against Bivol, right? Because like, he's one of the best boxers and he's so good defensively. So, and he's never been stopped before. So it's so hard for me to think that, even though it's Beterbiev, that he's going to get stopped. But I mean, that a lot of people might be looking at it that way. Ryan Hong, Beterbiev is a 2-time Olympian. F out of here about Bivol boxing ability. This MF dropped Usyk. Yeah, but that's not when they're
Bivol beat Canelo. Like, honestly, there's the two people ever beat Canelo Alvarez convincingly, and the other one's Floyd Mayweather.
I mean, I think the Canelo thing, I think
he should have lost to Lara and Triple G, but yeah.
But at the same time, like, Canelo was moving up in that weight class, and I don't think that's his natural weight class. And he did fight in that weight class before and won. However, Bivol's a different monster.
He
Uh,
rehydrates a lot. He rehydrates to like
but
high
that's still not
numbers.
his natural. Like we thought he was gonna go all the way up to like heavyweight. Like, and then he fought Bivol and it's like it came back to reality that there's weight classes for a reason. Hustle man, once Beterbiev lands on Bivol, the whole fight is gonna change. I think Bivol is stronger than people are giving him a chance. Like, I don't think it's gonna be like a Joe Smith situation here. It's not gonna be like that. It's totally different. Ryan Hong's
But it could be like
yeah, I mean you
if he
never
lands the
know.
right shot.
The one thing
Um,
that I hope it's not like is and then this has happened before where we're like 50-50, 50-50. I don't want it to be like a Bud and Spence thing where I'm left like so disappointed because that to me was a true 50-50 fight. And then they got into the ring and I'm like, what is going on here? Like that would be like worst case scenario for me because I think we could have got this fight like a few years ago, I feel like.
we're not gonna
Um
we're not gonna mention this, but they might fight again in the future. Unfortunately,
yeah,
we're
I
not
mean,
talk we're not gonna talk about that today though.
I don't want to see that, you know what I mean? Reinhard, speaking of which, how did Bivol not make the Olympics? His style is made for that. It's true.
He was a really, really, really high level amateur from like a European and I think world standpoint that just didn't qualify for the Olympics. It happens. Looking now, like yeah, he's got some gold medals and like some different European championships, world championships, but not there's just no
He
Olympic
was
there.
he was highly touted, and there was a lot of hype on Bivol, but no one really like unless you were a diehard boxing fan and you weren't a casual, you knew how good he was. But then he kind of really rose to fame after that Canelo win.
Yeah,
Like, you know
because he
what I
was
mean? But he
champion
was,
already.
yeah,
But
he
yeah,
was really good before, but not a lot of people had heard of him. Or if you weren't like a big boxing, if you didn't follow the sport like that, a big boxing fan. Let's
268 and 15 amateur record reportedly for Dmitry Bivol.
the amateur records are always interesting, but I hate when sometimes people bring up the amateur record because it's like the craziest stuff, like
Yeah.
Sean Porter and Usyk. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy because it's amateur, but it's like it's always fun to go back and mention. Ryan Hong, Marcus Brown has faster feet than Bivol and ended up getting smashed down the fight. Difference is Bivol is like he's a technician.
I was gonna say Marcus Brown, if he does have faster feet than Bevo, like he's not technical or not as technical, and he's not as disciplined as Dmitry Bivol, like not even close. He's also more of a slugger than Dmitry Bivol is. Dmitry Bivol is obviously a way better boxer.
Our guy Jalen Davis, yeah, Beterbiev is going to make Bivol fight and increase his output. That is true, but I think a lot of people also don't realize that Bivol does throw in fights. Like he has a good jab. He doesn't have a higher work rate than Beterbiev, but I mean, this is going to be interesting to see how this fight goes. Just in terms of the style, I think one of these guys they're going to have to make an adjustment during the fight for sure.
Bevo's going to be moving a lot, but he's going to be punching a lot because he fights very well off his back foot.
But you know what Beterbiev does really well? He makes the ring so small. Like even if it isn't, he's gonna make that ring small because he's
Yeah,
that good at cutting off the ring.
yeah. I
So
can't wait for this fight.
this fight's gonna be really good. Hustle man and Bivol never got punched by a killer like Beterbiev. This is true.
That's
Like
what. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like this is the hardest puncher he's ever faced, which is also why I led to Beterbiev. But it's so hard. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. When I woke up this morning, I was like, should I go with Bivol? Like I was playing with this in my head for like the longest time, but I think the skill disrespect for Beterbiev pushed me over the edge, and I was like, I gotta. And he's technically Canadian now, so you know what I mean? So how could I not rock? How could I not rock with Beterbiev? You know what I mean? I got to. He's Canadian now. Okay, he's gonna have the flag out.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
mean,
we're
and
rocking with it.
the other thing is like, and the last thing for me on this, I guess, unless we get to another comment here, I said at the top, I'm saying it again. These guys, neither one has fought one like the other. Like
Yeah.
Beterbiev has never fought a guy like Bivol. Bivol's never fought a guy like Beterbiev. That's what makes this fight so interesting.
It's honestly, it could be the fight of the year. I
Hopefully.
hope so. I hope so. I hope it's not like Spence.
Stylistically, I'm not sure, but hopefully.
You know what is it's so funny because it is really how people are viewing it is like you got the boxer and then you got the puncher. right? And I don't think it's like that though. Like I don't. I really think Beterbiev is one of the best all-around boxers in the game right now. It's hard. It's definitely hard. He resides in Montreal, which makes sense because Montreal is so European.
Love Montreal.
Montreal is definitely cool. It's so European, so I'm guessing when a lot of people come out there, they're like, this is, even when I got to Montreal for the first time, I was like, whoa, am I in Europe?
That's why I went.
It felt like it. Like as soon as you get out of the airport, it's nothing like any of the other Canadian airports. Like it feels like you're in Europe, right? So I could see why a lot of Europeans, when they move out to Canada, that they reside in Montreal. Big Surge or Surge. Good morning, I'm guessing you're saying.
That's what I thought.
I think you meant GMA. I don't know. Is GRA like a thing now? I would not know.
Isn't that what Ice Spice says? I'm not gonna do it.
I don't know anything about Ice Spice. Okay. I'm like an old lady. Like I'm not bumping Ice Spice in my whip. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that I'm doing. Okay, I don't. The bars are not good enough for me to bump Ice Spice in my whip.
Somebody else here has to know what I'm talking about, but it's fine.
I was like, it's so funny. One time you asked me about Ice Spice, and then like the next day we were on New York Post, and Dex was like, Shantelle, you seem like you listen to Ice Spice. I was like, no, I don't. But you had asked me, and then our guy Dex had asked me too, and I thought it was like hella funny. Do you have any final comments, Bryan, before we get up and out? Well, not up and out of here, but until we move to the next subject.
In response to Jesus's comment, don't know. Because I don't even know where we are about that, but I do remember now that there were some reported allegations involving one of the competitors in this bout. We'll see where that is after and if it becomes a thing, because sometimes in boxing these things get swept under the rug.
Most of the time they get swept underneath the rug. I mean, let's be serious
sarcastic.
here.
I was being sarcastic.
No, I know. I know you were being real sarcastic, but I'm not being sarcastic. Okay, a lot of the biggest boxers have had allegations like this. So I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it goes so much under the rug.
It matters if it happened. That's for sure.
But even after, like, guys are still boxing and people forget about it.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, people box after a lot of different things.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah, any final thoughts?
Ryan, I'll watch that because I like that channel actually.